Hey guys, it's Spacey Sims, and we are back with more Mystic Destinies, and we are still in Hikaru's book 1. So we've just I played the first however many parts up to this, like, together, and now I took like a week off. So, oops. Anyway, I resume my own body and immediately fall to my hands and knees. Reassume. Inara. It was all fucked up. It went so wrong. Not entirely. You did succeed in the end. One more soul fragment collected. Do you know, are you able to look through time and see if it'll be alright? Even if I could, what would be the point? You can't undo the past. Then who can? Can't you, Galen? I am the god of chaos. I can see all the potential paths and ends, but that does not give you the answer you seek. And there are certain things that you must find out on your own. There is one person who can restore time. You don't mean... Yes. Sunika no Mikoto is her chosen name. She's also known as the Weaver of Time. Well, that's useful as crap. Surely there are other gods who can do it. Gods and goddesses who can manipulate the flow of time are extraordinarily rare. Besides Sunika, there's only one other I ever knew that existed. Tokyo, her dead lover. He was a time god too? He was much younger than Sunika, though. When he was born, I'd heard she had little interest in him. I'm not sure how they came to be together later on, exactly. How did he die? It's a long, sad story. A story for another time, perhaps. But now it's time for you to collect the rest of the missing soul fragments. The sooner you get his soul fragments, the higher the chance that you can avoid running into Sunika again. Keep that in mind. I nod as I start to feel that familiar feeling of my soul being pulled into another timeline. We're going to do it in the order that we did the thing, so... I'm walking this time behind someone with magenta-colored hair and a broad back. Shinji? Who are you? I'm you, but stronger. Seriously? Yeah, literally. So could you go away for a bit now? I need to borrow your body. What the hell? No way! Listen, you! Shinji stopped so abruptly that I almost walked face first into his back. Took you long enough. The voice sounds familiar. Shinji laughs at the non-greeting. I'm here on time. You're just early. Got nothing better to do on a Saturday? I did have a thing planned, but nothing serious. It's what's-his-face. I told her I had an emergency. It actually worked out better this way for me. I move from behind Shinji. Both me and the other me nearly gasp out loud at who we see. Professor Kazama? Oh, I was thinking it was what's-his-face, Emi's brother. Since I'm used to weird shit by now, I recover quickly than my other self. In that moment of shock, I mentally shoved the other me away. Bitch! I just literally imagine her shoving her other self out of the way. What? Did she just let you cancel the date? No drama? No tears? Mostly. Hikaru's aqua eyes move to meet mine. He smiles up at me as he takes a sip of his drink. Ah, so this is who you brought along. I'm not sure that I've ever seen him smile like that, and definitely not at me. My stomach feels odd, tied up in knots. It'd be nice if he smiled at me like that more. Hello, Professor Kazama. Shinji chuckles at my awkward reaction as he sits down. Not knowing what else to do, I sit down too. I nearly jump out of my seat when a drink is suddenly placed before me. I look up to see an unfamiliar face. Here you go, on the house. Isao. Isau's not unfamiliar, or maybe we haven't met him. I want to say no, but I quickly realize that he brought drinks for everyone. Since when did on Shinji's tab become on the house? Who knows? Drink up and don't complain. Shinji rolls his eyes, but does just as the man suggested. He quietly takes a sip of his drink instead of saying anything more. I don't get a chance to say thank you before the man salutes us and walks back to the bar. We're here kind of with Shinji, kind of like on a datey kind of thingy. Sort of, we're like with him, so he should be buying us a drink, bitch, so you shouldn't complain. I mean, I get what he's saying. Like, oh yeah, on the house. You mean on my tab. But don't complain you're buying me a drink so you can get me liquored up so we can have sex later. That's what's going on, right? I mean, this is Shinji's route, sort of. I look down at my glass. It's not exactly what I normally drink, but it's free. I have to be grateful. If you're wondering how he knew what to get you, I texted him before we came in. Oh? Well, thanks. This me must have slightly different tastes than I do. That's strange. With drinks flowing, I slowly start to feel braver and begin thinking over how to approach the situation. Well, I can't get rid of Shinji, but I can strike up a conversation, start gaining his trust. I never realized that you two were actually friends. Friends and drinking buddies. They answer me in sync as if it's something they've had to answer many times before. So I see. Just how did you become friends then? They glance at each other, smiles unchanging. I just can't get used to seeing the normally stern professor like this. We met while I was still a student. Me, Hiki, and Tatsu ended up being thrown together for a group assignment. Hikaru chuckles. Only because you two wouldn't stop bickering like an old married couple. Shinji shrugs. That still hasn't changed in years. Speaking of my darling hubby, I nearly choke up my drink. If he were here, it'd really be like old times. If he heard you call him that, he'd make a scene. Then I might just do that next time I see him. You might as well just marry him already. I'd be rejected before I even got halfway through the sentence. I quietly sip on my drink as I watch the two interact. This is great. Hikaru seems to have a long and varied history. He told me this was his first year teaching. He was a student just before that. I bet he made a lot of good friends. While me, I haven't been able to get close to anyone. All I do is study. I feel a slight stab of jealousy. I know it's ridiculous and completely illogical to feel like this, but I feel jealous. The people who were able to get close to him, the people who were there to witness that history, that were able to be there for him. Hikaru's past is still a mystery to me, but something inside me wants to know more about it, wants to know more about him. There's so many sides of him I haven't seen yet. I want to see more. A heavy sigh comes from next to me at the bar. I glance over and see Sunika of all people sitting there. My heart stops cold. Fuck. But Sunika doesn't appear to be making a move other than tracing the rim of her glass with who knows what in it. How the hell didn't I spot her before? The moment I ask myself that is the moment I realize the answer to my own question. Sunika is a goddess, a powerful one at that. If she didn't want me, or anyone, to spot her, then no one would. Judging by the look on his face, Hikaru spots her too, which makes Shinji turn and look as well. You two know that woman? Sunika glances at Shinji. You know, kid, I was just thinking. You look like a Fae King I used to advise for. He had hair just like yours. Fierce temper, though. Still, it was fun. What is she doing? Is she actually trying to have a conversation with us? That was one of the better times I lived in. It was so peaceful in Avalon with Tokyo. Usually I like places that were more lively and bustling, but Tokyo really loved peaceful areas like that. Hold on, sorry. I have to adjust. My headset is like... It's like riding really freaking low on my ear, and it's like pressing into a really weird spot. Like, it's really just, I don't know, it's bugging me. There was a time when Fae were peaceful? Oh, don't get me wrong. The Fae were as treacherous as they always are, conniving and violent. It was what made my job fun. I can't help it. Despite myself, I'm curious. Why would someone like you need a job? When you can see the future, you're the perfect advisor, when you feel like it. Like I said, it was fun. There are lots of things I can't change, but in my own little ways, I can cause chaos. I can't imagine why Sunika is here rambling on about her past, other than the fact that she's crazy. But seeing as she's being docile and I don't actually have any other options available, I continue to listen. Christ, my headset is really freaking, like, it's like pressing and like causing, like on my jawbone. Like, I don't know what it is. Like, it's like killing me. Sunika's demeanor changes completely then. It wasn't like that for Tokyo, though. He loved the land himself. He loved the land itself. The forests, the lakes and oceans, the architecture of the Fae, even the curious look he'd get on his face when he found something that interested him. It was adorable. With him, I learned to see what life could be, even if I didn't know my true purpose, my divine destiny. If I could spend eternity with him, I wouldn't need anything else. Hikaru's face softens. Sunika. Hikaru glances at me and then subtly touches his earring. I give him an imperceptible nod. He must have figured it out. I guess Sunika being here suddenly like this would be a pretty big clue. I never had the chance to know your lover, but from what I heard, he was extremely kind. Whatever you're up to, isn't it true he wouldn't want you living your life like this? Hurting others? I'm sorry if I keep adjusting my headset, it's driving me bonkers. The moment Hikaru says that, I feel the previously relaxed atmosphere turn heavy, oppressive. How? How could you, of all people, say that to me? You have no idea of anything about him, or about anything about the truth of what happened to him. The feeling increases and every hair on my body begins to stand on end. Yet, you meddled in affairs you didn't understand. I want to run. Everything is telling me I should run, but I can't move. It's an effort to even force air into my lungs. You're the reason. Is this? That I lost track of those who took him away from me. You're the reason I can't avenge Tokyo. Is the power of a goddess? You can't possibly know the pain of losing the other part of your soul. Sunika's tiny body begins to float in the air as she screams. Floating in place, she unleashes her power. The ice in the glass I'm holding suddenly turns into water, while the wooden bar stool under me crumbles to dust. Glass shatters and turns to dust all around the bar as we're forced to retreat from the epicenter of the destruction. Isao stands behind the bar, completely frozen in time. One of the patrons of the bar tries to run out the door, but she turns into dust before she can even take a few steps. Another patron rapidly de-ages before my eyes, becoming a child. He cries and runs to hide under a table. Glancing at the people suffering around us, Hikaru steps forward towards Sunika, protecting his eyes with one hand. Sunika! Maybe you're right, that I don't know that exact pain. But I do know what it's like to lose someone I love. The woman I loved most. I feel a pang of hurt at his words. But unlike me, Hikaru's words have no effect on Sunika. Her powers just intensify. Hikaru steps back and sighs, throwing up some kind of light barrier to protect us from the effects of Sunika's magic. He stands there with his hands raised up, as if physically holding the barrier up to keep it going with all that he has. Shinji quickly moves his hands in a complicated-looking series of moves, and a light purple barrier doubles up on Hikaru's white one. There's no way to stop her, is there? No, not permanently. There's a ritual to seal her away, but she wouldn't allow that to happen a second time. Can't we still try? She's destroying everything. I don't know the full ritual, only that someone must hold her down while it's being performed. Right, so that's a no-go then. They both fall silent as they look on at the mad goddess. Everything not within the barrier has been destroyed in one way or another. Kaylin, if you could hear me, we could really use some help right about now. I half expect Galen to ignore my plea for help, but I can clearly hear his deep voice in my head. I just love that because it's not a deep voice. My interference here would only cause more destruction at this time. You just need to get the soul fragment and get out of there before you yourself suffer a fate worse than death. Hikaru's quiet and Haruka. Yeah. Every time I see that I want to say Hikaru and it's Haruka, yeah. Haruka's quiet advice sent a shiver down my spine. I avoid looking anywhere other than at Hikaru. I don't want to look at what happened to the other people in the bar. Is there no end to her madness? My heart feels heavy as stone. I find that I can barely breathe, and this time it isn't because of Sunika's immense aura. I guess this is what happens when you're dealing with the divine. Shinji, Inara, I want you to go. I'm the only one here who could possibly survive this. Hikaru runs a hand through his hair, clearly stressed. I'm half god, but my true form is unstable. I can't be trusted. So I need you two to escape. No. She has to be stopped, and you're in the way. Why don't I want to go so badly? I don't want to leave him. But he's not even mine. My Hikaru. He'll never be, so why... Ugh, get it together, Inara. In the midst of chaos, I summon the earring in my palm. Hikaru merely stares at me. He knew, though. Then he nods. I'll give you the other Hikaru's soul fragment, and then you need to leave. The god within me, he won't go down without a fight. I'll lose control either way at this rate. Shinji briefly glances at me, and I wonder if he might say something. He looks back at Hikaru with a strange glint in his eyes. I'm not leaving you, and don't even try to argue with me. In a flash of light, Shinji transforms into what looks like full armor. We'll fight together. Shinji me all you want. I'm not leaving you to fight alone. He's so adorable. I love Shinji so much. A fae and a demigod together might stand a somewhat better chance against a goddess. Hikaru doesn't say anything, but a small smile tugs at his lips. It'll be like old times, right? Fighting insane divines? The two men exchange glances. With a nod, Shinji holds up his hand to hold the barrier in place, just as Hikaru lets go and turns to face me. We don't have much time. He closes his eyes and places his hand over his chest, and just like before, he quickly calls out the other Hikaru's soul fragment. I hear Sunika scream out in rage, and I almost freeze up in terror. I force myself to summon the soul box. The moment that I shut the box around the soul fragment, I feel a tug on my soul. No, wait! Go, now. The last thing I see is a bright light forming around Hikaru and the barrier disintegrating. I nearly collapse upon returning back to my own body. The drastic difference between the adrenaline and stress I was feeling versus the calmness of this body is disorienting. Haruka walks over to me and helps steady me. Are you alright, Inara? I nod and, pushing my glasses back, stand up as straight and tall as I can. I calmly look at Haruka in her eyes. I have to know how she can keep doing this. Haruka. Yes? Don't you have any attachment to the other Hikarus in the other timelines? Of course. I am his mother. So how is it you can just watch something like that happen? What else am I supposed to do? The answer shocks me, especially from someone like her. You're a goddess. Surely you could go down and help him. But I'm not strong enough. It's then that Galen strolls up to us. He glances at Haruka's distressed face and then looks at me. Gods are the keepers of the universal order. They are bound by many rules, and as such they cannot change things, not unless they are meant to be. Even the smallest of changes can result in utter chaos, and that goes against their very being, seeing as they were born out of and for order. I frown up at him. But Galen, are you not a god too? You speak as if what Haruka is completely different. You seem to be able to change things, and aren't you bound by any rules? Only self-imposed ones. The only thing we truly share is they were both called gods, but that's a story for another time. I love how they're like, that's a story for another time. When the hell is another time? I want to know. I'm sure we'll find out, but back to the topic at hand. They cannot interfere with things easily. And gods aren't all of the same power. Some are more powerful, some are less. Sunika happens to be a particularly powerful one. And as such, there is little that Haruka would be able to do against her. Oh. I'm sorry, Haruka. I shouldn't have presumed. Haruka quietly stares at the ground, and I begin to regret going down this particular path. But before I can say anything else, she looks up at me with a sad smile. It's okay. I wish I were stronger, and braver too. That's why I respect my son so much. No matter what timeline it is, he's always someone who fights to protect others. His life is never easy, so sometimes he can seem very harsh. But it's because of the kindness in his heart that he endlessly fights to protect others' happiness. Kindness. It's not a side of Hikaru I felt I had really seen before all of this began. But thinking back, I begin to think that Haruka is right. See, I get them names mixed up. Hikaru was strict and sometimes almost rude, but he never treated me badly. Hikaru seems to be a complex man. He is. Not many actually take the time to really get to know him. But he has many sides to himself and always has a reason for what he does. I hope you've begun to understand him a little better too. I nod. Something in me believes that I have, but I feel there's so much left to still uncover. There's still so much I don't know, but I'll keep going until I figure it out. Ooh, I'm actually going to stop this before we get to the cosmos of the detective, and we will do that one in the next part. So I will see you guys next time. Remember to give the video a big thumbs up and subscribe to see more.